Hello, it's me Harley, back at it again for yet another video, and today I am going to be talking about the weirdest job interview I have ever been to. Like a lot of people, I've been to a few job interviews, however this one was particularly strange and I thought I'd share it with you guys because why not? I'll tell you a couple of things to give you an idea of what I was up to and why I was looking for the job. At the time, I'd just lost a job because the company I was working for had gone bust. So I'd been doing 2 cleaning jobs and it had now gone down to 1. At the time, I was working 9 hours a week as a cleaner at a really nice local pub. I was searching for a second job because 9 hours a week at minimum wage is not enough to live off. I mean, heck, that's no savings at all. Anyway, I'd seen that the neighbouring pub to the one I was working at was hiring for waitressing staff. And I thought, you know what, I'll give that a try. Like, I'm a pretty good people person. I know that I'm pretty decent with customer service, so I thought, why not? I'm gonna go for it. There was several alarm bells, but they built up along the way. The first alarm bell happened before I even got to the job interview. Talking to the people who were going to do the interview, they saw that on my CV I had worked as a cleaner and was working as a cleaner. So they said, we're also looking for a cleaning position. How would you feel to maybe being a cleaner in the mornings and then going on to be a waitress in the afternoon? So you work mornings into afternoon rather than afternoon into evenings. I thought, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Like, granted it wasn't the position, or it was the position I was applying for, but it just was that position plus some. I thought, I'm not too bad with that. Okay, sure. When I got there, I went for the interview. They saw me. They offered me the job there and then, which isn't necessarily an alarm bell because that's how the job I currently have occurred. I went up to the interview and they gave me the job there and then. They said, come for a shift on this day at this time, just to make sure that you like it. So I turned up. I'd been to this pub, as I said, only one time before, and that was for the interview. And the little bit I'd seen of it had seemed great, no problem at all. However, as the trial shift went on, I started getting a bit confused by what was going on. As I was being shown around the backs of the pub, like the backstage, shall we say, I noticed that in the kitchen there was a seriously strong, horrible smell. Now, it wasn't just something that, like, you can block out or it's in one particular area. It was like in 2 or 3 areas around the kitchen, and it was so bloody strong. It was like really sulphuric smell, and if you didn't know, I am very, very sensitive to the smell of sulphur. I don't know what it is about sulphur. Other smells I don't have quite so bad reaction, but sulphur in particular it has made me faint before in the past. I cannot cope with it. I cannot deal with it. Just no. This wasn't just like potentially blocked drain. Granted, to be fair, it's a public place and things. It's a busy place. A blocked drain more than possibly happens on a regular basis. No, there was something more to it than just that. As I was walking around, I was thinking, this doesn't seem like the most hygienic of places, but alright, maybe I'm just being OTT, because I'm not the biggest germaphobe ever, but I'm a bit of a germaphobe. Especially around food, I can be really particular about everything, so I thought maybe it's just me being overreacting. I also found out that there was CCTV absolutely everywhere. Places need their CCTV to be secure. In this modern day and age, it's makes sense to have it. Like, have as much CCTV as you need. However, there becomes a bit of a point where it doesn't just look like, oh, I'm being safe and secure. This is obsessive. Just, it was every single last place. Like, you couldn't be somewhere for a short amount of time and not be covered by CCTV. So I thought, that's a bit strange. But again, I'll ignore it. I then started the cleaner part of my job. Again, came across quite some grim things. In the toilets, I found a couple of cigarette butts. And in case you didn't know, because you may not be from England, it is illegal to smoke in a public place now. It has been for years. It might not be where you are, but you are not allowed to smoke in a public place. With the amount of CCTV, they've got to have known people were smoking around there. There was also a used needle. Yeah, I was thinking, ye gods, at this point, where am I? What's going on here? This is strange. Then I went and cleaned the actual pub. I found more cigarette butts just dropped around. Granted, it wasn't everywhere, but there was far more than just like one person being sneaky and having a quick cigarette and dropping it. It's accepted and allowed in this pub, even though it's against the law. At this point, I was feeling really apprehensive. I mean, the place just had this really oppressive, horrible feeling as well. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, as I was cleaning, there were moments where I was so overwhelmed with this severe, oppressive feeling just like weighing down on me that I almost felt like crying. Like, my eyes were welling up. I don't know why, it was just really weird. I mean, it's a pretty beautiful old building. Granted, the way they've decorated it is pretty naff. I'm going to be blunt, it's naff. The way they've decorated it, it's not good. But the actual building itself is gorgeous. It's just, I don't know, it felt so wrong. It just felt suffocating being there. I was becoming more and more apprehensive the entire time. I was seeing more and more alarm bells. It just wasn't good. But I thought, never mind, I'll bite the bullet. I'll make it through this shift. See how it goes. You never know. The waitressing part of it might boost my confidence and I'll actually do good. I continued with the cleaning, and in one area of the pub I found 8 slugs in a weird kind of like slug circle. The best way I can explain it was the slugs were doing some kind of like satanic ritual. I don't know what they were doing. Why were there so many slugs in the restaurant? Why were there so many slugs in this pub? Like, sure, slugs are pains in the bum. They can find their way into all sorts of areas. But this wasn't even like in the doorway or close to any form of entrance, or possibly had got stuck to somebody's welly and walked in and dropped off. This was 8 of them in the middle of the pub. How did they get there? How? I just don't understand. And then I finished cleaning. That was my cleaning part of the shift done. I was then getting on to the waitressing part. I was introduced to the person who was going to be training me. Now then, don't get me wrong, I am not ageist in any way, shape or form. I believe that sometimes younger people can be much more adept at things than they can usually get credit for. However, the person who was training me, my supervisor shall we say, was a 16-year-old lad who had been working there for less than 3 months. He admitted he had no idea what he was doing. He said, I've not been here very long, so forgive me if I'm making mistakes, but this is how you wrap the knives and forks. At this point, I was basically done. I was on the verge of having a panic attack because of how horrible it felt. You know you're in a weird situation when your trainer, your supervisor shall we say, is a 16-year-old lad who'd only been there for a few weeks who had no idea what he's doing. That's the position I was in. At this point I decided I'm going to come up with an excuse, call mum, because at the moment I am holding back a panic attack as best as I can do, try and come up with an excuse to leave, because I can't make this full 8-hour shift. This is too much for me. I've only been here a couple of hours. Like, I think I'd been there 2.5 hours at that point, and I'm surprised I'd managed to make it that long. I hadn't even served any customers yet. I was done. Like, this, needles with slugs, cameras, oppressive feeling, being trained by a 16-year-old who didn't know what he's doing. It was just too much. I like to have some kind of order, and this was just too much chaos. Oh, and I'd forgotten the bad smell, the ridiculously strong, sulphur, dirty, bad smell that came from the kitchen. It was, no, I'd done. Anyway, I said that I'd claimed I'd got an emergency text message from my mum, or several emergency text messages from my mum. So I'd said that I think something's wrong. Can I go and just check the messages, see what's happening? The lad who was trying to train me, bless him, went, oh yes, go to this special location round here. Now, at this point, we hadn't even opened to the customers yet. So it's not like I would be seen walking around in front of customers on the phone or anything like that. I could have been going toilet for what people knew or cared. He said, just go to this area here to make your phone call quickly, because I've learned it's one of the very, very few tiny spaces where the CCTV doesn't cover. And the reason why you need to do that is because there is somebody watching the CCTV at all times. The owner of the pub will go mad at you if he sees you even look at your phone. So I went to this special location, one of the very, very few areas where the CCTV didn't cover, to call my mum and say, help, I'm panicking. I need to get out of here. Like, why is he constantly looking at the CCTV? Like, surely CCTV should be there as a backup. Like, something's got damaged and you want to figure out who did it, or like what happened. Or some kind of situation occurs where there's an abusive member of staff and you want to report them to the police. Then you can go back and look over your CCTV and get the image, get the footage that you need. For the small, like, countryside pub, you shouldn't need constant CCTV supervision. It's just unnecessary at that point. That is going too far. Like, if it was a massive shopping centre, yeah, sure, I can understand why there'd be need for constant CCTV. If it was for some kind of public venue where there's a lot of people and things, again, I can understand the need for constant CCTV supervision. When your pub isn't even open to the public yet, and even then when it should be open to the public, you shouldn't really need to be constantly looking at it, because surely you should be expecting things to just go smoothly rather than constant. Maybe I'm the weird one in this situation. Nowhere else I've worked, and I've worked with the public, they've had CCTV but barely ever looked at it. There is no reason why that pub will need constant supervision, and yet they do. Even when it's not open to the public and they've just got their own members of staff there. Oh, I'd forgotten about this bit altogether. But I'd also been told something else that had happened. If I had been spotted with my mobile, I would have had my wages docked. I don't know by how much. I don't even think that's legal, really, is it? Like, I don't know what the legal side of it would be, but docking your wages because you were checking the time on your phone or something, like, apparently it didn't even need to be, oh, I'm looking on my phone at text messages on my break or anything like that. It was, even if you're like on your phone, getting your phone out to check the time, I was told that could cause you to get wages docked. It was so strange. It was so strange. Well, I made my excuses and said, I'm going, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Just as the doors were opening, I went, no, I'm going. Well, I got a phone call a couple of days later asking when can I come in for my next shift? I went, I'm sorry, I don't think this job is for me. I thought I'd made that clear on my trial shift, but no, I'm not doing this. Ever since my weird trial shift happened, they have had a constant like supply of adverts for people to work there. Like, it's continuous. They have a constant stream of like job opportunities and advertising for people to sign up there. So clearly it's not just me who's been shocked by those alarm bells. Clearly it's not just me. Since I had that trial shift, I've found out that it's actually got quite a bad reputation in the local area. I found out that the police are called there on a regular basis, that it is known for its like criminal activity, and it's a hotbed where dodgy people go to. So I think I've dodged a bullet. Like, if your pub is known for that kind of thing, maybe you should reconsider your situation and alter the way you're going about things, instead of putting tons of CCTV cameras around everywhere, because CCTV should deter that kind of thing. But clearly there's something else going on, because I'm not the only one. I'm clearly not the only one who's been no, not taking part in this. That was the weirdest job interview I've ever been to. Well, technically it wasn't even the weirdest job interview, technically it was the weirdest trial shift, but you get what I mean. It was very, very special. I do not want to repeat that kind of situation again. Granted, the two ladies I'd talked to were really nice, but no, weirdest place I've ever been. So weird. That's the best way I can describe it. On that note, I'm going to say toodle pip or beans, and see you in the next video. Bye!